how we got together and what led to our marriage. I don't know, about 6 years ago or 7 years ago or 8 years ago, I was a naive sophomore at Columbia University, and I saw the most beautiful Puerto Rican lady that I've ever seen in my life. And turns out 5 years later, she's actually not Puerto Rican, she's Navajo.
No, I never told you I was Puerto Rican.
I know, but in New York City, who's going to say, oh, there's a Navajo girl, right? So we were friends for a really long time, and then eventually started having, we eventually had a relationship. And
we met at Columbia University. We're both students. He was a year ahead, and this superstar jock that I didn't want anything to do with, because I thought he was a little too cocky for me. But he won me over as a friend. He was very supportive of me when I didn't have any family in the city, and I was going through some really tough times with the culture at the school. And I found in him a support system. And from there, you know, I think we denied it for a really long time, but we fell in love and discovered together what that meant, and from there learned together how to make that commitment grow and how to nurture it. I was told I wasn't going to be able to have children, and so when we got pregnant, it was a huge shock and miracle, because we did sit around and talk about wanting kids and wanting to have a family. We never talked about marriage, though, which is surprising. We just knew we wanted to be parents, and we wanted to be great parents. And when we had our miracle baby, things kind of fell into place, and we felt a little pressured to rush into marriage, and we didn't really know how to make that jump, that commitment. I mean, he's from Trinidad, I'm from the Navajo reservation, and my family, you know, they couldn't come to the city to help us plan and watch this relationship grow. And so BJ, fortunately, is Kern's mentor, and I was privileged enough to meet him through Kern and to get to know him through rugby. He provided a lot of support and love and guidance, and was really that family figure in the city that helped us understand the importance of marriage and what it could do for us, and sort of helped us get over our initial fears and hesitations, because, you know, being young, you hear about divorce as if it's
that's what you're gonna
do. Given. That's what happens, you know, like you get married, then you get divorced, and maybe you get married again. And that was really the culture that we're, you know, growing in.
Yeah.
And it scared us. It scared us away from the commitment. It scared us away from making that investment into marriage. But when we spoke with BJ and we realized that we both come from families where they have healthy marriages and long-lasting marriages, both our parents are still married, together, we started to get over that fear. BJ Weber was very influential in helping guide us through all those questions that we had and all those fears that we had. He was Kern's rugby coach and also a pastor, a very inspiring pastor. And so our relationship with him really helped us get over those fears and hesitations and confusion, because marriage and navigating even the concept, the thought of getting married can be very confusing sometimes.
Plus, I think that our generation, kids our age, just have this, as Janine said before, there's this, you get married and if it doesn't work out, you can get divorced. There's always that option. And you see TV where people are together and they say they're in love, and then 5 years later, I hate you, you know, I wish I never met you. And we were terrified of that. Terrified of going through this process and then ending up at that spot. So even though both Janine and I, our parents are still married to, our parents are still married to their spouses, I guess. You know, even though that, there's still this whole kind of stigma today, and just BJ just really helped us see that, you know, other people's problems with marriage isn't the problem with marriage. Marriage isn't the problem, is what I think I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think in our conversations with him, what was really helpful was that it got down to the point where he exposed the fact that our fear was hurting each other. Not that we didn't believe in marriage or that we didn't want to marry one another, but that we're scared that eventually we would cause a tremendous amount of pain to one another. And, you know, so that's when he invited us to come to a Love and Ministries event. Love and Respect Ministries, right? Is that a Love and Respect Ministries event? And there we got to, you know, be around married couples who've been married for all, you know, lengths of time.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, you know, the fears that we had and just how they themselves discovered that that's part of growing and loving and building a family is committing to each other and going through this ceremony that represents that commitment and have people that you love that are close to you witness that commitment to start off on this journey that's not going to be perfect, that is full of challenges, but that, you know, you work through because you shared your vows with one another before these people. We're both students. We had no idea how to even plan a wedding, let alone afford it. And
I was talking for the longest time about this. I was raised Catholic, this big church bells and doves would be released and all the balloons would go up and everyone would be there throwing the rice at us. And, you know,
yes,
going to Columbia in New York, it's just, you know, I didn't really see it happening. Thought maybe I'd have to like wait till I was like 30 years old and we'd start talking about it, but
yeah, Kern had the big white wedding dreams, and I don't know what I had. I don't think I had any expectations of getting married, especially as young as we were. But, you know, being faced with being parents and understanding already that having that child was a commitment to each other for life, we really wanted to seriously talk about how we could make this very special commitment to each other in a significant way within our means and to have it still be special. And when we sat down and talked with BJ, who you know, obviously was our go-to for the marriage aspect of it, he, once again, through our conversations with him, we broke it down to the essentials of what was most meaningful, and that was to be surrounded on this special day by people who watched our relationship grow from us just trying to avoid one another to us falling in love and becoming parents, and that was our family. We couldn't afford to bring our families from the reservation or from Trinidad, and so realizing that, you know, as sad as that was, that it was okay, that
our friends were our family.
Our friends were the people that were around us that helped provide that support and that knew who we were and why we loved each other and could see us make that commitment. That's what became most important. And when we committed to that idea and we're I don't know, secure in that understanding, all the other preparations, all the other dreams about, you know, having an elaborate ceremony, it was no longer as important as just having the people who were special to us witness us. It's very small. We set up in the living room, 30 chairs with our friends, and
it was really intimate.
It was
really intimate.
Very, very intimate. The space, just the warmth of the and comfort of being inside of home and being with people who were comfortable and being around with each other and who loved us and cared for us. That's what made it really special.
Yeah.
Our friends were crying at the wedding. They were really moved, and what was really special to me was that day they were moved by our union, by what we were committing to each other, and not by a fancy party, not by the decorations or the fact that we, put on this big show for them. But by the fact that they were invited to take part in this very intimate and small ceremony, that was of extreme importance for us.
Right now, I have a really good rugby friend from college, and I talk to him on the phone all the time, and I said, you got to come out here, man. The reservation's awesome. There's awesome rock climbing, there's horseback riding, and he really wants to, but what he says to me is, I can't do anything for the next 9 months because I'm planning my wedding. I'm getting married in 9 months, and I have to save up $20,000. And I said to him, that $20,000 can go towards a house, it can go towards a car, but you're kind of right now just working for this one day.
That marriage is about your love, not about your money.
Well, I'm 28, and Janine's 26. We're relatively young, but I just think that today's perception, we have such a consumer society. If you go and buy something new, when your car's not working anymore, you go buy a new car, you go buy new clothes. And we have this idea of marriage that when it gets hard, right, we can go and get something else. It's okay that it's hard, we don't have to work through it. And I think that's something that our parents really, the divorce rate was, back in the 60s, was like, what, maybe like 10%? I'm not saying that, but I think it's really low. And today we have this kind of like idea of just divorce, it's hard right now, I'm going to get divorced, all right? Yeah. As opposed to, this is hard, but I've made this commitment. Mm-hmm. This is a bond that the piece of paper cannot end. Mm-hmm. So you work through it.
Yeah, I think popular culture has done a lot to over-exaggerate the glamour that that should be strived for, in a way. We're bombarded in media and pop culture with all these images and messages that weddings are supposed to be this huge, extravagant, elaborate thing, and you're supposed to be the perfect wife and the perfect husband, and then we see these things disintegrate within a month or less than a year. And so, when you're bombarded with these things, it normalizes this idea that if you don't have the money, if you don't have the means, if you don't have, a certain standing, that you can't afford making this commitment. But I think for our generation, falling in love is scary enough, it's complicated enough that using that as an excuse to not celebrate it it hurts yourself. It hurts the bond that you have with someone. And when you find that someone special, like it's so much more worth it to just make that commitment and marry them, because it's a beautiful thing.